Please like the video, subscribe my channel. Modern men are drowning, not in hardship, not in war, not in struggle, but in comfort. A strange paradox of our age. Everything is easier than ever, and yet men are weaker, slower, less ambitious, and more directionless than ever recorded in history. Comfort was supposed to make life better. Instead, it made men empty. At first, you don't notice it. The decline is silent. Comfort never attacks. Comfort seduces. It starts with small things: choosing the elevator instead of stairs, scrolling instead of reading, consuming instead of creating, distracting instead of confronting. Each tiny choice seems harmless, and yet, over the span of a decade, a man realizes he has become soft in spirit, shallow in discipline, and foreign to his own potential. Men today are surrounded by luxuries their grandfathers could not imagine. Yet they lack the one thing their grandfathers had by necessity: pressure. Pressure builds strength. Comfort dissolves it. Chapter 2. The ancestors' world throughout history. Men were forged by adversity, famine, war, harsh winters, physical labor, survival. There was no escape button, no snooze button, no air conditioning to retreat into. Life demanded discipline simply to exist. The ancient Spartans didn't ask whether they felt motivated. They trained because failing to train meant death. Roman soldiers marched 20 miles a day under scorching heat and freezing rain. Medieval farmers worked 14-hour days in silence. Samurai practiced sword techniques for years without complaint. For thousands of years, hardship shaped men into resilient beings. Strength wasn't optional. It was the requirement for survival. Today, survival is guaranteed. Strength is optional, and optional things are always neglected. Chapter 3. The trap of comfort. The modern world gives men everything except purpose. Food is delivered. Entertainment is endless. Discomfort is minimized. Pain is avoided at all costs. But purpose only emerges where struggle exists. This is the trap of the modern lifestyle. Men believe they are free because they have comfort, but in truth, comfort has enslaved them. A man addicted to comfort cannot endure boredom. He cannot delay gratification. He cannot commit to anything that feels difficult. He lives in escape mode: video games, junk food, porn, social media, constant stimulation. He is constantly entertained, but rarely fulfilled. This is the crisis of modern masculinity. Men are not destroyed by enemies. They are destroyed by conveniences. Chapter 4. Weak men plus easy lives. There is an old saying: hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. We are living in the weak men create hard times phase. But weakness does not show itself in muscles. Weakness reveals itself in spirit. Weak men avoid responsibility. Weak men blame circumstances. Weak men seek pleasure over progress. Weak men choose comfort over challenge, and the world pays for it. A weak man cannot lead a family. He cannot protect his community. He cannot strive for excellence. He cannot carry weight, physical or emotional. And so society collapses not with noise, but with size. Chapter 5. The discomfort gap. Every man has two versions of himself. The man he is, the man he could be. The gap between the two is discomfort. To close that gap, a man must willingly suffer through training, through learning, through rejection, through discipline, through failure. Comfort denies men access to this growth. It whispers, why try? Why push? Why struggle? Comfort tells men to stay the same. Purpose demands they change. Chapter 6. The spiritual weight room. Strength isn't built in gyms alone. The world itself is a weight room for the spirit. When a man wakes early to work instead of sleep, he lifts weight. When he studies instead of scrolls, he lifts weight. When he chooses responsibility over escape, he lifts weight. When he practices self-control when no one is watching, he lifts weight. This is spiritual fitness. This is how character is built. Modern men are not lacking strength. They are lacking resistance. Where there is no resistance, there is no growth. Where there is no discomfort, there is no evolution. Chapter 7. The decline of difficulty. Modern comfort has erased the gateways through which men once passed to become functional adults. There is no rite of passage, no trial, no test. Boys remain boys far into adulthood, not because they are incapable, but because nothing forces them to rise. You don't become a man by reaching a certain age. You become a man by overcoming something difficult. But modern men overcome nothing because everything is designed to be easy. Life once demanded strength. Now life demands nothing. And when life demands nothing, men become nothing. Chapter 8. War of the Soul. The war of our generation is internal. No bullets, no bombs, just temptation, distraction, and comfort. Ancient men fought enemies outside. Modern men fight enemies within. The battlefield is your phone, your addictions, your attention span, your avoidance, your laziness, your comfort. The enemy whispers later, tomorrow, after this, when you feel ready. But a man who waits for perfect conditions never acts. Chapter 9. The silent enemy of ambition. Comfort kills ambition, not by force, but by seduction. Ambition is fueled by hunger. Hunger for better, for more, for meaning. But a full stomach never hunts. A lion only hunts because it is hungry. A man only ascends because he is dissatisfied. Modern comfort removes dissatisfaction. Men live in the illusion of good enough income, good enough health, good enough friends, good enough dreams, good enough effort. But good enough is the graveyard of greatness. No man becomes strong by being satisfied. No man becomes powerful by being comfortable. Comfort whispers, you don't need to change. Ambition whispers, you are not yet who you could be. Only one of those voices creates a future worth living. Chapter 10. The pleasure loop. The modern world invented a new problem: pleasure without progress. Men can experience dopamine without achievement, without effort, without discomfort. Scroll for entertainment. Swipe for attention. Click for stimulation. Order for satisfaction. Play for escape. 100 years ago, men experienced pleasure only after effort. Now men experience pleasure instead of effort. This is the pleasure loop. Short-term reward gives no long-term gain, gives more craving, gives less strength. The loop doesn't make men happy. It makes them numb. Pleasure without purpose becomes poison. Chapter 11. The decline of pain tolerance. Every generation of men before us lived with pain. Physical pain, emotional pain, financial pain, environmental pain. Pain was normal. Survival required tolerance. Modern men panic at discomfort. The slightest anxiety sends them running. The smallest challenge makes them quit. The tiniest rejection breaks them. Why? Because comfort destroyed pain tolerance. But strength is found on the other side of pain. A man who cannot bear discomfort cannot bear responsibility. A man who cannot bear responsibility cannot build anything of value. Chapter 12. Fragile ego syndrome. Comfort also breeds fragile egos. When nothing challenges you, nothing strengthens you, the ego becomes brittle, easily offended, easily threatened, easily discouraged. Fragile men avoid competition because losing hurts. Fragile men avoid rejection because failing stings. Fragile men avoid commitment because responsibility is heavy. But the harsh truth: a man grows only when his ego breaks. Rejection makes him courageous. Failure makes him adaptive. Competition makes him competent. Responsibility makes him valuable. But comfort hides men from all four. Chapter 13. The evaporation of meaning. Men need meaning the way a plant needs sunlight. But meaning does not come from pleasure. Meaning comes from struggle. Ask any man what gave him the most fulfillment in life, and he will recall something difficult. Training for a sport, building a business, learning a craft, providing for family. Protecting someone, saving money, creating something, surviving something. Meaning is born in discomfort. Pleasure is born in escape. Comfort gives men pleasure. Comfort steals meaning. A man filled with pleasure but empty of meaning eventually collapses from the inside.